Hey everyone, today we talk with Pablo Dragún. What is it like to lead a group of economists? How do you work in multidisciplinary teams? What is the ILO? And what is the UIA? Time to see a different perspective, don't you think? Are you joining us in this week's episode? We'd love to have you. Thank you for being here and spending time on the Rethinking podcast. Welcome, Pablo. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Fine, Julika, fine, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So what have you been up to?
Well, this year it has been quite tricky, difficult working from home working and raising a child, and this year, which has been complicated for everyone in the world, and lots of work to do. Yeah, it's not the best year to be doing that, but yes, we're doing well.
Well, that's
Holding on.
good to hear. Holding on for dear life.
Yeah,
So-
that's the actual definition.
So what kind of work do you do?
Well, currently I have a sort of a double work. I'm the director of the research economics studies of the Unión Industrial Argentina, which is the largest trade union of the country, which represents the interests of the industries all over the Argentina. And since I'm doing this since 2015, but I joined the UIA, which is the acronym from Unión Industrial Argentina, since 2012, and since 2018, I'm also representing all employers of Argentina at the ILO, International Labor Organization, and this is more something related with some international labor standards, and it has been something new. And you can hear my son, which I'm also doing home office as a dad, full time. So that's the all the stuff I've been doing.
So how did you start with UIA?
Well, actually, I started. I was born in 1981, so I may look, sorry, I may look younger, but I'm almost 39 years old, and when I was 30, I had some experiences working in the government, but not as and also in some in private sector. But I was not really comfortable with some things that related with how my career was developing, because I really like the development and also the industry, particularly. I wanted to start something newly fresh, and I think that the WIA and the research center, it was something that it will fulfill or not my ambition. Sounds quite rush, but harsh, but mostly my interest. That's more appropriate to say. And I knew who was the chief economist, who currently is also the executive director, and he talked to me sometimes to convince me to join the team. And in the end of 2011, it was something that appeared more interesting than another time, and I started and well, I've been doing this for the last almost 9 years.
So, what kind of jobs did you do before that, and what was missing in them?
Well, I started working as an economist in the antitrust commission in the government, which was quite interesting. But main problem was that the economic conditions of that were really poor, and well, I wanted to move alone by myself, and even though I have a place to live, the amount of money I got paid was not enough to survive. And after that, I have the possibility to, but it was really interesting, this job. And after that, I have the opportunity to go working after few interviews in JP Morgan. JP Morgan was establishing a center of research, which was named if I can recall well, CRG. CRG was the Corporate Resource Center, and we work helping the investment bankers of the region, the majority of them based in New York, but some of them also based in um, sorry, in the different countries, and this was quite interesting because I managed to learn something about the region, about Latin America, and something and about the different accountable information. And it was interesting, but it was not the kind of job I got comfortable with, and it was also not the kind of I don't want to say company, but the kind of sector I was not quite comfortable. I was I always liked the real economy more than the financial. And well, nowadays that I'm quite older, I understand the importance of good knowledge of finance. But and after that, I have the opportunity to go to do some research projects, sectoral, and I like that, and I quit JP Morgan quite 1 month before the Lehman Brothers thing started in February 2008. I think that started in almost March, or some months after that, and I resigned a little bit before that. So now I didn't know any information about that. And after that, I went to work into the Ministry of Agriculture, which I have some they call me for doing something related to to the research of some value chains in related to beef, dairy, and also the soybean complex. And I formed a group of different economists that they called me to coordinate. I was quite young, and I called some people that studied with me or worked with me, and I managed to form a good team. But unfortunately, it was an a place inside the Ministry of Agriculture that had some troubles, and we didn't have the opportunity to show the work we have been doing. The state, the, the government in that years were more reluctant to publish some information. We have some troubles with public information, and it was a good experience between the team, but it wasn't a good experience between with my relationship with the state, so sort of speak. And after that, well, I have the opportunity to go to WIA, and well, it was more, well, it has been more satisfactory, or well, it has been the place where I've been working most of the time, since I have in December I will be 15 years as an economist, and well, and 9 were as in the WIA. So yes, 60% of my time, my job time, and that, I think, and that's that before I started in WIA.
Wow, that's pretty great. So, what kind of things like happened in the team or with the government that made it hard to work with them? Was it, what do you mean there was not, like, information wasn't shared?
Well, it was a time that when public information was not, or maybe was not reliable. We have some, but we were not sure of how, what to publish and what not to publish, and we have some changes of the authorities, and well, that maybe the idea of this place was good, but the problem was that the implementation, if you can't show some data, if you can't show some data, it's really difficult to show all the job you have been doing. For example, I will have a good example, since different things with soybean, or meat, beef industry, we were not supposed to publish or something like that. Um, the main problem was that finally we get to publish some information about sorghum, which is a minor how do you say, a product of the agriculture in Argentina, which is, it has some potential, but it's like, for example, I don't know, maybe when they, if they say, well, let's do something about I don't know, tennis players, and but you can't publish something about Federer, Nadal, or Djokovic, and you might, okay, no, but let's see that information about the number 30 in the ranking. Well, something about that was one of the difficult aspects to, okay, well, what's the purpose of what are we doing? So obviously you work uh, for having some incomes, but but it's not but if you don't, if what you do, you have to be so much careful about that, and you don't have the good information from up, as you say, top down. It's kind of tricky to get to do something more, as you said, by bottom up. If you have some different if you have to be very careful about everything on politics and all of that. And considering that we were quite young, I was between 27 and 30 years when I did that job. Well, it's kind of difficult, and considering that we didn't came from the politics itself. That those were the tricky parts, and something that was my, I wouldn't say an unfortunate experience, but it wasn't really as satisfactory as some other places in the public sector were for some of my friends that did the, the degree with me.
Yeah, I get that. So, is that different now than it was when you were working there, or is it still similar to that?
No, it's actually different. No, it's definitely different nowadays. It's not. It's something that it was. Fortunately, it has been solved quite quite well. But well, I and also some aspect that it's important. I it was in themes of agriculture, and I really don't like the countryside. I'm mostly an urban fellow. I want to, when I get the opportunity to travel, I want to travel to big cities. So it's quite it's something that it was also quite ironic, sort of speak. The majority of people that work out, they like to go to the countryside and all those stuff. Well, it wasn't actually one of my objectives, sort of speak.
Fair enough. So, how about UIA? What kind of research do you do there?
Well, in UIA, well, we have different activities actually. One of them, the most important, is to do a report based on the information that we get from the different chambers, sectoral chambers and regional chambers, and we do that on a monthly basis. We do a report of activity and a report on labor issues, and twice each of them monthly, on a monthly basis. And we also see all the macroeconomics and how the banking system and financial system are working. But that's not mostly for publish, but for providing information for the authorities of the WIA. And also we, in some opportunities, we do some research, most, as I said, most profound research of which is mostly based on different investigations, and with the idea of to be more solid on the analysis. When you are running with monthly reports and with the Argentinian economy, you are always running, and you don't have the opportunity to do some or profound investigations. But well, I think that we try to be very solid, and that even though that the WIA is a well reputed organization in Argentina, that we contribute to that by doing good reports and to have some solid information. It's not only it's obviously that lobbying is one important part of what the organizations do, but our objective is doing that with good information and with serious analysis, because if it's not a serious analysis, it's not a good. It's something that just don't. It's not good for WIA in particularly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, are you a person who also does a part of like lobbying and research, or do you do a specific part? Like, what is your position in all this?
No, firstly we do we do reports on different aspects. In some cases, it's most well, we has two parts, sort of speak. One of them is the research center, as well, it's where I'm the team I'm leading currently, and the other part is the different departments of the chamber that they work on specific matters related to WIA, and that they work closely. But we work closely also with this department. For example, the Department of Energy, Department of Industrial Relations, that's mostly labor issues, the Department of Environment. So we work, we have to be well informed about what the departments are been doing, and we currently have a good team, lots of economists, but it's also with different disciplines, and we try to provide them with economy information, but also taking care of what some legal issues, some legal stuff to be most to have a good reports on everything. So we are not working just relating how is it going, or maybe to go to some meeting with the government, but also some also with these different departments that they mostly are doing some things with that.
So, what is it like to work multidisciplinary?
Well, I always like that. I'm not. I personally I don't like the people that consider that economics is the most sophisticated theory, as Gary Becker used to say that, well, economy rules among all social sciences because of the method. Well, I really don't think about that. I don't think that way. But and I really like to listen to different people, that to have the explanations with engineers, with lawyers, with sociologists, with how do you say, people who study politics, politics science. Well, and with different people, and accountants, and I think that helps us understand more that what do we see. And I have always been mostly for the sectoral analysis, and in the sectoral analysis you always have to talk with the people related with the how things are done, mostly than economists. You say just talk to businessmen, to workers, to specialists, engineers, and in some cases that, well, you always have to to listen. Nowadays, as I say to my one friend, I'm a specialist in everything, which actually is a specialist in nothing. But, well, I prefer to know or to listen to different things that are actually happening, and, well, that helps us, or myself, to understand mostly of the world, which actually is the reason why I started studying economics, because yes, that, I like the multidisciplinary normally.
That's really cool. So, what was the reason you started studying economics?
Well, one of the reasons is I wanted to understand most of the world, and maybe doing it sort of a better place. And I think that economics is one of the way of doing that. Well, it's all when you're a teenager, you are you think you can change some things, but, well, but I'm always been quite realistic with different stuff. But I think that in some aspects, maybe some differences, sorry, can be made. Yes, that was mainly one of the reasons I started studying economics. But,
Well,
well, then obviously you do different things, and you get moved for what you like the most, for what you like, not only because of money, because some cases it's obvious that banking and financial pays you more than industry, or different things related to that. But it has been quite quite good. I think that it was something that you get moved for that.
So you studied economics, and then you in the end now work in a place where it's very, very multidisciplinary. Are there like different ways of like different perspectives going around, or different kind of topics that you work on because these environments are different? Is that, can you see that, or do you recognize that?
Yes. There are different environments. For example, I will recall you a good example in ILO, which I said I have the representation of the businessman of Argentina. The majority of the people who are representing are or lawyers or businessmen, and well, even though I'm representing that and I'm learning more because international labor standards is very harsh topic, and I listen carefully with all of what my colleagues from different countries and also my colleagues of Argentina had shown me. But I was in a meeting of the employment department of ILO, and the majority of them were and there were lots of economists because it's the hard part of the ILO of economists, and they were talking about Piketty and the R or the G, and nobody of my group understand what they are talking. I said, okay, let me recall. I read something about Piketty and is this, is that. Well, and it was the moment where I feel quite how do you say, uh, I was a specialist in that way. So yes, even and it's definitely something different because of the in the academy the language is different, and when you are talking to economists, maybe you are. I think that you are quite of compete. It's not the way I do things, but it's normal to see when you are presenting the research you have been doing to some of your colleagues to get to evaluate that, and in some cases maybe it can be quite rushed, well, quite harsh, sorry, because well, it's actually you are talking to a pair. It's quite of a peer review, and when you are doing something, when you have to talk of economics to or to businessmen or to lawyers or to engineers, you have to be more clear, or maybe you don't maybe something that some discussions that are in economics, for example, let's say discussions of the theory of the capital or whatever. You have to understand that they are not, or maybe not no, or not easy to understand to the majority of the people, or maybe that it's not interesting enough to the rest of them. So we have to be quite
Empathetic.
what's the need of empathy. Yes, that exactly. Yeah, you have to be yes, the empathy is important, and it's not about you showing how much you know about economy. It's about you trying to explain the way you see things in economics to people that are not economists, but the economy is a subject that everyone feels like they have the level enough to make a good explanation, and that's and with businessmen and also with people who are not businessmen. So it's quite difficult because everyone, it's like in football, soccer for the Americans that are listening to us. In Argentina, we have 45 million of inhabitants, and we said, okay, we have 45 million of managers of the national football team, and in economies is quite similar. and that's something difficult because maybe the common knowledge and the easy receipts are very well sold at in television and in media, and to explain how complex is the economy. And maybe the main problem that I have when I have to explain something about that is that I show the difficulties we are having. I'm not showing the way out. I always say, well, if we should be doing that, but if we do that, that will happen, and we have some problem in that. And I always enter with some sort of catchphrase that said, okay, it's easy to say it, but it's hard to get this done. And I think that's the one of the trickiest parts of our profession, to be truthful to the audience, to not be simplistic, and not to be, you don't have to get to treat them as sort of stupids. Sorry, the wording, but I get, when I listen to some economists that are talking on television in Argentina about that and say, no, that's easy, why don't do that, or they to try to explain something really difficult to get, and with sort of different interests in place. Because when you do that, okay, you say, for example, oh no, we have too much deficits in our fiscal account. Okay, yes, that we agree with that. Okay, let's cut it. Okay, well, but let's see. Well, you see, the majority are of pension funds, and the problem is the pension funds. You have some formula that you have to change, and if you change the formula, we can have some legal stuff, or maybe if you can change that, the pensioners wouldn't get enough money to get some medicine. And obviously, with the political economy, the political economy is important. That okay, but the problem is that you don't. The government that do that, maybe they can have some really trouble in the streets in Argentina, and well, it's really complex. That it's not the one that sells a formula that serves for everything is really it's a phony. That's the only thing I'm really sure about that. And I try to not be a phony, and also to be that the people that work with me wouldn't do that. Obviously, when you are representing you represent some interests, and you have to defend that. So I now I speak as a sort of a lawyer, but when you are explaining the economy, you have to be truthful of that. And I try always to be as truthful as I can, obviously without doing things that it's contrary to what the employer has said to me, but not to be, but always try to be truthful.
Damn, that makes it very almost sounding like you're a politician. Like, well, this is one way, but here are all the other sides to this problem. So it's always very complex.
It's really complex, and someone has to take the decision. But normally, it's easier to postpone decisions. But the problem is that when you postpone decisions, well, then you will have some trouble when the hard times come. And well, with the COVID-19, we managed to see that in some countries.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, you talked about ILO. Can you explain what that is and what you do?
Surely. Well, the ILO is yes, ILO is the International Labor Organization. It's the oldest organization of all the United Nations system. It has 101 years old, and it's the only organization at the UN system that is tripartite. That means that you have in United Nations you have just the governments, but in ILO you have the governments and also the employers, which are the representatives of the most representative trade union in the country. In Argentina, since we don't have one union that has all the sectors for trade, constructions, banking, in industry in one, while we has is the representative that, and the other sector is the employers, which are represented by the ITUC, which is the International Trade Unions chamber. No, not chamber, not, but well, which are represented on a country basis for the effectively for the most representative trade unions. That I said trade union for the WIA. It's not trade union. Is that the trade? Sorry, is the representative of employers. So in ILO in differently from United Nations, the decisions have to be made on a tripartite basis, and as I said, well, the discussions are harder because you have to get to some consensus, not only taking in account the importance of the not only the governments that in some cases they are aligned and some cases they are not aligned. For example, in some cases with US and China, to be most explicit, obviously they are not always aligned, and trade unions and workers and employers that in some cases are not aligned and in some cases are aligned. But well, this is the importance of social dialogue and to manage to get some good things, and the bargaining and the negotiations, and that, well, they are not easy, definitely, but well, in some cases that's the good construction of something that it's supposed to get a good governance and to get good rules and a good level of the system of control of the ILO, that the system of the control system of the international labor standards.
So how did the ILO get started? Where did that all begin?
Well, the ILO started in 1919. It's I think the solo survivor of the Society of Nations that emerged after the World War I, and it started. Obviously, you have to take in account not only the World War I, but always the Soviet Revolution and those stuff, and was to convene a good place and a good well, ILO was created in 1919, and it was formed on a basis to get a better place to work and to be to get accomplish these international labor standards. For example, no forced labor, nor child labor, different. In ILO we have 8 fundamental conventions. ILO has 190 conventions and 206 recommendations. With the conventions, some countries, the countries after the convention is approved by the ILO, the countries that are participants of ILO has to approve this convention, but and every single year the countries have to do some memories on how they are getting with these conventions. But for example, but there are 8 conventions that are fundamental that you have to, even though you didn't ratify the conventions, the countries ratify the convention, that's the proper word. Um, they have to take how do you say, to give to have a rendition or something like that on how they are doing with these conventions. And the international labor, the system of control that supposed to be working in terms of that the countries uh, uh, fulfill this level of of conventions, not only with the labor convention, but also with the freedom of associations, that you don't have to, for example, you can be that workers and employers have the right to be on the organizations they want to be, and not to be forced to be in one organization, and that they satisfy their requests.
Okay.
That's one of the way, and also obviously the ILO has, as in coordination with the different UN agencies, the technical cooperation to achieve the countries to get better things of regarding these norms. And some cases, for example, some studies on, for example, I know, on productivity and the decent work, and well, different stuff. So I do that on ILO, but we also get to do some research with ILO, and we currently in this in WIA, we get some good stuff, um, some good stuff on that, and we managed to get some good information related to the complexity, economy of complexity, and productivity and informality. We get used to this technical cooperation to get better jobs, better works to sustain our different presentations. That's what I sort of meant before.
Okay. So I have one question that I really wanted to ask you. It's about
Yeah.
so you're the coordinator of a group of economists who do
Yes.
research, right? So what is it like to be the director of economists? What does that
Eh,
entail? Yeah. Mm.
well, it's actually satisfactory because the good the diff I have two different opportunities. The one before was that in the Ministry of Agriculture, I was quite young, and I formed a group of three colleagues of my age, and it was interesting. Really, that the group was really good. But with that, but after that, I started working at WIA, and I worked as a senior analyst. I wasn't a coordinator, but after 3 years, while some colleagues I was working, I have I was promoted to coordinator, and after to director of this. And it was it's really interesting, because we always try to get some new people with good academy level, but also with as we found the industrial production interesting for developing. And I formed different teams, because one of the problems is that in WIA is, and specifically the CEU is the acronym from the Centro de Estudios de la WIA, which is the place I'm currently directing. Some of them then are promoted to some places different. For example, directing one of the departments of WIA I related before, and and other get to work to different sectoral chambers, or some of them are just okay, I want to go to studying abroad, or some of them were promoted to working, not promoted, but were called for working in the government, in interesting, or maybe in some cases as directors. And well, it's a good place, but the only thing is that quite exhausting is that the rotation is about an average of 2 years. So we are sort of forming different, how to say, cohorts, sort of speak, of economists. So, but it's really good to get some not only new people, but also but I always manage to get a good level of commitment of the group, specifically with the group, but and also with we in general speaking. But I always think that the good coordination is that the efforts you made in some cases are more efforts for your companion, for your teammate, mostly the most than the place you are working with. The, the level of commitment is not just because of the or the wage, or obviously you are working for a wage. No, that's obvious. But this level of commitment and the things that are made makes more enjoyable working at is to have a good team of people who are curious, interested in learning more, and with we have some, in some cases, patience to develop different things, to people who know that the abilities are not only the ability of learning or reading books, but also to presenting informations, and the ability to express oneself, and but it's I think it's this is probably one of the most satisfactory parts of what I do, for sure.
So, what do you look for in an economist when you start looking for a new hire? How do you go about doing that?
Well, firstly, we try to look that they have a good academy level, because that shows the level of sort of obsession with the data on the and the details that we have to be quite precise and not to be yes, to be precise. After that, to see how they what they think about the country, and well, if they see that the industrial development is something important for Argentina, really. If they are too liberals, maybe they won't be good for WIA, and also if they are too sort of speak leftist, I will call that, but it's not the proper part. Maybe they are not quite good enough, but to develop a career. I try to. So left is not, it's not the part. Maybe if they are too more for pro union, trade unions, or that, maybe it's okay. But well, we have to see if that's a pose of this, if that's something. But actually, when we always get people quite young, maybe that they do the degree in a good shape, and always to be when you have the feeling in the interviews, and maybe some practice, well, you manage to get if they have a good level, a good personality to work in group. It's really important to the teamwork. I think that if I have to, if I have people, a guy that's a 9.5 out of 10 in his degree or her degree, and then people that has a 7.5 in degree, but more has more social skills or the ability of good teamwork, I will prefer the second one. Has to have a good level of, and always has to want to be learning. It doesn't have to be too rigid on things. so, since I'm not really rigid, I try to get people that are quite flexible, but also have to get them the good to myself to be flexible enough to listen to people that said, okay, that way don't. But I think that's something interesting.
So, what is the first thing that you teach them after you hire them? What is like a common thing?
Well, first of all, to get what the place they are working, what they do, what the WIA does, and what does this whole thing means. Maybe that, and then to show them the products we are making, and after that, you say, and to show them companion all the time. Some cases, since I'm with these jobs in the WIA, and also maybe in ILO representing WIA, but in ILO as well. In some cases, I'm quite busy, but to show them different things to be doing, but mostly to learn them, to get them feedback of what they done, to try them to release, or maybe to how do you say, not release, that's not the word, to let them form their opinion, or to let them do the jobs, but also showing them the good a good level of to show them what has been doing before they started, because the SEO, it's been like 13 or 15 years of different jobs, and to show them now sort of a manual of procedures.
Okay, so what do you think economic students should learn in university that they don't learn enough?
Well, in Argentina, mm, maybe in some cases we don't get much of you say work with different with with different information that, for example, in Argentina, in some universities, but currently there has been new universities that are working mostly with working with the Excels, and to see how to process some data, to how to explain. I think that's when you are always focused on different models or levels, and you say great things about that, and maybe it's good for the academy or for this level of discussion, and I value that. But if they never saw a good level or national account, or maybe some different ways of showing information, that will get the level. I don't know, maybe when you have some lots of ideas and no data behind that, you can sound like quite pretentious, but maybe you have to always check the data. I have, for example, I have very good memory, but I always check the data, because before I said something, quite obsessive with that, but you have to be precise. I think that to work with data is good, and also to learn to read more of original authors in economy is good, but in some cases is that depends on the level of the student. You don't have the chance in some cases to force them to do different things. It's more of the interest of the student.
Okay, so I also learned that you are fascinated by the economy of complexity. Could you explain what that is?
Well, it's complex. Now, currently, well, I started. It's not something that I'm very. It's something new that I'm learning, and I'm not a specialist. But we do something with Fernando Garcia Diaz, who was one of my teammates. It's a friend. We used to work together 15 years ago, and then we have the opportunity to work together in WE, and he was the head of research. So he did mostly of that, but I got very interested. Is that it shows that we work with the methodology that two Latin American economists of Harvard had developed. One of them is Cesar Hidalgo, and the other one is Ricardo Hausmann. That they have the atlas of economic complexity, and they show how using all data of Comtrade, which obviously has the difficulty of not showing the, the services in terms of trade, because Comtrade is all only of goods, but maybe it's a good predictor of when you have a good level of complexity, which is the iterative, which is made by what you say, iterative that sorry, the complexity is that you have the map of the different activities you can be making. It's like if you had, for example, you see a map of LEDs. Well, when the most complex economy has all the LEDs very on, and maybe an economy that it's not that much complex. It has some lights on, some lights off, some lights on, but tilting quite. You say, okay, this lamp is not going to last long, and when you have most of that, it's a good predictor of you have a good level of a good GDP per capita. And what that shows us is that when you don't have a good integrated different value chains in your country, when you don't, for example, you have to import every single thing you do because you don't have a good sector. It's not that you have to close your frontiers. It's not about that. You have to import and export with different countries in the world. That's the way things are doing, and obviously it has to do with international labor division. It's as old as the economy itself, or for example, or at least if we consider that the starting with Adam Smith. But uh, but if you don't know how to do things, it's more unlikely that you can have some catch up in the level of your GDP, and then actually in the level of development. When you have most activities to get done, it's easier to move on to a different level of activity. For example, Argentina at the 75 or 76 has had a good level of development in the electronics industry. After that, the economic policy it ended with some of these sectors because they were not competitive enough or something like that. And with all the revolution in the 80s, that Argentina missed that. Well, and in the 90s, didn't have the abilities of doing that. Or for example, in 2003 or 2004, when the economy was starting after a huge crisis we have in 2001, 2000, yeah, from between 1999 to 2001, 2002. There were some abilities required that there were no people. There were not enough people with abilities to do, for example, something related with engineers, and going for the specialist in economics. We didn't have a good sectoral. There were really few sectoral analysts, for what I have been told I wasn't received in 2003, but after that there emerged people like me, which are more specialists.
So let's do a little lightning round.
Yeah.
I ask you a question and just say the first thing that comes up.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
So, what is a skill any economist should learn?
The ability to listen.
Okay. Who do you admire or look up to in economics?
Um, the humble to have that intelligent and humble enough.
What is a question you want me to ask that I haven't asked you yet?
What's how is to be doing economics analysis from a country that it's not developed enough and that has recurrent crisis, mostly that more than any country in the world, or maybe on the top level.
Okay, so what is that like?
Well, it's really difficult because in some cases we didn't get to solve some macroeconomic issue, uh, and then I have to explain people, colleagues of myself, that okay, those are the problems we have in macroeconomics, and people don't understand problems with financing, problems with the foreign exchange, problems with inflation, and that's quite tricky, and it's quite unfortunate because I think that Argentina has so much how do you say
Potential?
potentiality. It has some really good potential, but well, the macro, without a good macroeconomics for, and the macro, as we say, macro for development, not a well organized macroeconomics. It's not good enough for the development. But we are been saying that for the last 10 years, and well, until now we weren't enough successful enough. But hopefully someday we'll get there.
So, how do you go about changing something as big as that for the better?
I think that the main problem is that in the central bank that the regulations are not good enough, and the technology is currently, in my opinion, not good enough to get things done as, for example, the Bank of England are being doing to make a good modern monetary theory. I think that's the way things are being doing in the world, and but not in Argentina. And that we always have to have the interest rate high to avoid things to go to the foreign currency, to forex. And maybe if we can change that, and if we can uh, fulfill the people with credits to all the things done, maybe we can, and obviously business, maybe we can solve that problem. If we can have a bubble of production, we can manage to solve our bubble of inflation. It's not good enough, and maybe not the majority of my colleagues in Argentina, and even people who work with me, are fully agree with that. But I think that's a good way.
Okay.
Maybe we can try. I prefer that to try and fail, but well,
Well, you need
yeah.
some more help with that, but
Mm,
yeah, that
mm,
sounds good.
yeah.
So, where can people find the things you're most enthusiastic about if they want to learn more?
Well, we wrote some things in the website in WIA, but majority are in Spanish. But in the web of ILO, we get some things good. I think that economic of complexity is really interested, and I also like the some approach from people that I learn in university. I like, for example, the approach of Carlota Perez. Is from Venezuela, and currently in England, of the different waves. I in some economies from CEPAL, which is ECLAC, the Economic Committee for Latin America. Mario Cimoli is a very good, is something good place to, a good economy to learn about this. And well, and also I I kind of like the new Schumpeterian analysis. I think the interested, and also the some structuralist of economy of Latin America. But I will also say that it's important because in some cases some analysis are being doing were made during the 60s or the 70s, and that was a world. Currently we have another world. Obviously some things are quite of the same, but I think that to understand financial is really interesting, and it's key for the industrial analysis because without a good financial system for the industry, it's really difficult to get something good. You can have the best company of doing, I know, for example, eolic uh, turbine. Yes, turbines, but if you don't have a good financial system or development bank or whatever, or a PPA or whatever things to be done, you can have the best product, but if you don't have the way to financing it won't be successful. We have lots of histories of companies that were ruled out of business because of not having a good financial system behind. I think that's something interest to learn the way financials get to with real economy. Not to We don't have to be like separate stuff.
Okay. So, what does the future of economics look like, according to you?
Well, that's it's really interesting because we have some difficulties in pension funds in worldwide, in Argentina particularly, but it's a worldwide problem. We have some the people getting older, people things that are difficult to be paid. We have the recovery after the Lehman Brothers. I think that the main problem is that and obviously I didn't mention China and India that in the last 20 years they were the keys of the world growth, but in some cases without taking care for environment or without or maybe without the proper regulation and also with the level of the state director that in China particularly that something new to learn, for example, in that case. But we have to learn more about that. The level of private initiative is important, and well, China are moving also to that. But the problem is, and also I really like democracy as well, but democracy should start solving also the problems of the people, and industry particularly can have a good solution, but it has this level of commitment is really important. And in economics in particularly, I think that we have to get better or better models to get things done, to solve the problem of accumulation and not the creation of growth. And I think that the one of the main issues we were watching in the last 5 years, and particularly during the COVID crisis, is the crisis of the multilateral system with WTO and well the WHO. That it's something that it should be reconstructed. That because it would be really difficult for the developing countries such as Argentina, but also all the region of Latin America, which are suffering from different economics and politics crisis, to get things done. And I think that's one of the key parts. What are the way that the powers of the world are behaving, and I think that the main the future will see, well, with the we go with the UN agenda with the SDGs for 2030. We have 10 years for fulfilling them, but we are facing different difficulties in that. I think that should be more. It's not more some. It's not something with the economy, but it's something from politics, because I think that that's a tricky part. Definitely, what what will the world be, and maybe some of our investigation in economics and sometimes were quite focused on one particular problem. The economy of behavior is interested, but in some cases are better controlled. I'm not an expert now, obviously, an experiment, but maybe that experiment doesn't show the macro stuff, and maybe the macro are and the way and the confidence and the trustfulness and these things. Okay, we are currently in a sort of crisis that it's difficult to succeed in solving that.
Yeah, because there, my last question was related to that. What is your advice to future economists?
Well, future economists should get to know very much about the international relationships, relations, the and to learn more about financial, and to learn more about technology, and to, in some cases, some problems are because the systems are not good enough. I and what and some theories that we have for centuries were theories supposing something that a good level of commitment, try to get things people more involved.
So
Okay.
thank you so much for
No,
making the time and for making all this happen. This was great. Have a great day.
thank you, Julika. It's a pleasure, and hope everyone is well there.